Hi, and welcome back to the HaPi Podcast. One of the big objectives of this podcast is to try and remove some of the barriers of knowledge sharing that can exist from time to time within our industries. And in this session, we're going to be looking at innovation or innovative solutions that are offered to either the NHS or to pharmaceutical companies, healthcare companies, and MedTech as well. I'm going to be speaking to a variety of different people who are in a position to offer those different solutions and are currently doing that. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hi everyone, welcome back to another session in the HaPi Podcast. Welcome along and thanks for joining us today. I'm delighted to welcome Chris Roberts onto the podcast today to have a conversation in the series of innovation in pharma. Chris and I have just done some work together, which I was pleased to say was a success from a recruitment perspective. But I'm going to allow Chris just to give us an intro to him, what he does as a day job, so everybody knows who you are, Chris. So welcome, thanks for coming on. And do you want to give us a bit of an intro to who you are and what you do?
Sure, yeah. Hi, Colin. Yeah, thanks for inviting me along. I'm delighted to be here and part this program. So, yeah, my name is Chris Roberts. Currently, I am National Sales Manager for the Specialty Care and Immunology Division at SoBi UK. I've been in the pharmaceutical industry just coming up for 24 years at the end of this year. I started, as we all do, as a primary care representative. I moved quickly into being a hospital specialist. I was a hospital specialist for about 5 years before becoming a regional manager. I did that for about 5 years and then became a national sales manager. And for the past 13, 14 years, I've been in national sales management, head of sales, business lead roles for a variety of companies. So, I've been a sales manager for, since 2004. So 18 years worth of sales management experience. So
good.
And it's gone by in a flash.
Yeah, and so as I know, we're talking about this before we come on to this call. You're a busy man. You're spinning a lot of plates, and I tend to any kind of communication that I have with you seems to be out of hours in terms of getting maybe answers to questions, stuff like that, which doesn't bother me in the slightest. But that's when I know that you've kind of sat down, you've got your feet up, you're watching your beloved Liverpool. And with the tops in the background, but I have a team of 7. Yeah.
So I have 6 key account managers. I've got 1 national account manager. We cover. I have 4 products in my portfolio, ranging from rare disease, very rare, to ultra orphan disease. Extremely busy. Multiple therapy areas. We have across those brands. We have 8 different indications as well. So it's extremely challenging, and I cover the whole of the UK and the Republic of Ireland. So, like you say, my time is busy, but actually, I much prefer that.
You like that? Yeah, you like that because you were saying
it's much better. Than sitting and tapping your hands on the desk for sure.
You were saying the other day you can't sit still either, so you quite like that. Well, I'm the same. I mean, life moves a lot quicker when you're busy instead of just kind of those times where it's a bit of a downtime. So you're at the end of the day, you're a busy man. You're looking after a lot across the UK. But it's all things are in a good place for you at the moment. A good place for SoBi. So what we're on this series to talk about is innovation within pharma. And the reason I asked you to come on, Chris, is obviously you and I have had a bit of interaction recently, and obviously talking to you, I know that over the years you've been involved in maybe the other side of the fence when people have presented what they believe to be innovative ideas to you that you've maybe brought in and put into action within your roles as a manager, perhaps within SoBi or other places. But it's really just a first and foremost a general discussion about innovation in pharma, how key that is, and then we'll go on to talk about a couple other things in terms of more related and how important it is within your day job as well. So innovation within our industry. You obviously are a manager. and you see it, how important is it for you to see innovative ideas, innovative solutions either being presented to you by your team, or perhaps from an outside source coming in and offering you some help within Sobi?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I think innovation is essential in any walk of life. For us as a business, we're a relatively small business compared to some of the other companies that I've worked for in some of the bigger companies like Takeda, Shire, Pfizer. So we are resource light. So innovation, new ideas, ways of achieving an additive effect in the outputs that we deliver is essential. For me, I think I guess it goes without saying innovation needs to be different, but it needs to be something that is bespoke to us as a business, and something that we don't already possess or don't have the time to do. So for me, be it somebody who's coming presenting to me or my wider team around a new idea or a different way of doing things, or whether my team come to me and say, I've got this idea, what do you think? I think it is absolutely pivotal to how we move forward, for sure.
I think you're obviously, as a recruiting manager on occasions over the years as well, and I see this as well. The candidates for me that stand out when you talk to them are the ones that come to you say, I've got an idea. I want to share this with you, and not everything works. Not everything will pass, but I think as soon as we get to the point, or if hopefully we'll never get to the point where we don't allow for that innovation, and we don't allow for these ideas to be expressed openly, then it becomes dead. It becomes a little bit of a boring place to be, doesn't it, from our industry point of view?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key to innovation, and certainly internal innovation, is a feeling and a culture of safety. So someone who can come in and deliver an idea with the knowledge and the comfort that actually that is embraced. So I certainly try to encourage my team wherever possible to come up with new ideas, look at different ways of doing things, with the knowledge that whatever it is, that we can look at it, rather than it being poo-pooed or no, we just can't look at that. But actually then we have to make sure that, or I certainly do have to make sure that I take the time to engage with those individuals around those ideas. Yes, we've got issues around the code, and we work within the code of practice.
Yes, of course.
So there's going to be some ideas, some innovations that we just cannot run with on that basis. But there's always a way of exploring how we can deliver different innovation within the confines of the code to make it a compliant idea. So certainly for me, the key is people feeling like they are able to be proactive, to offer ideas, to come up with different ways of doing things in an environment that is comfortable, and one that is not somewhere where people feel restricted. For me, that is the key bit you alluded to. That feeling of safety is really important. So if people don't feel that, and that culture doesn't exist, I think innovation starts to become stagnant, for sure. We've recruited within my day job at Evolve. We've recruited some kind of relatively inexperienced people into our team, so graduates or people with little experience. But they're the ones that that they come and they present with, what about this and what about that, because they have no baggage, and they're not bringing things that we've always done it like that, so that's the way that I'm going to continue doing it. And there's a time and a place for that. There's a time and a place for that, that stability, and there's a time and a place for that knowledge and wisdom and experience to to be involved within your team. But there's also now, and I think even more so in the past 2 or 3 years, there should be more of an opportunity for people to say, right, let's stop, let's think about this. What's the problem with here? So what solution can we come up with within the code of conduct and within what we do as well? So in your experience as a manager, you've probably seen loads of things been presented to you and loads of things, ideas, given to you. What would you say, without maybe mentioning companies or whatever, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, what would you say
you've seen that has really worked, and what would you say has not really worked?
Yeah, I mean, we've had, or I've certainly had, lots of different ways of enhancing the sales team that I have in terms of extra resource, the data that we have and that we utilize, be it either sales data and the way we look at that, or other data around brands and products and the therapy area. So a whole heap of different solutions that have been offered to us. In terms of what works, it is absolutely got to be that is something that is different to what we currently hold in-house within our own resource. So it has to be different, but it also has to be bespoke to what we need. So in terms of what works versus what doesn't, that individualization of a proposition is absolutely essential. So there are lots of different companies that offer very similar propositions, but actually the key difference is when that company takes the time to find out a lot more about the challenges that we face, and then come and present an idea or a proposition based on those challenges, rather than a broad brushstroke. So that's what works. What doesn't work is coming and saying, this is the solution we have to offer. It covers X, Y, Z, this, that, the other. What do you need? It actually needs to be the flip side round. So I know when we did it, Colin, with you and your team, we had a really intensive discussion about what was needed, the type of person that was needed, the challenge that was that was faced by the individuals that came in. So it really made sure that those individuals that came through for me from an interview perspective were good, strong, suitable candidates. And I think that's what makes a massive difference. And certainly for me, for my time, I don't have a lot of time to go away and analyze and evaluate and do things differently. So it's been presented with a unique proposition that is bespoke to my needs that I can go away and quickly assess, and that's what makes it different.
So you're on the kind of slightly other side of the fence from a couple other people that I've interviewed in this series for innovation, because a couple other people I've interviewed are external to the industry, have involvement in the industry, maybe have been ex-industry, and then gone and started their own business and going to work in partnership with pharma companies as well. So you must, I would imagine, get presented with ideas or pitches or solutions, or what they obviously the company think is a solution to a problem that you might have on a kind of fairly regular basis. Are you quite open to? My experience is that you are, in terms of quite open into listening to different ideas and listening to external to suppliers that can maybe, as you say, add value to what it is that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we don't always all have all the solutions, so it's always interesting to hear different perspectives, people's different ideas. As you say, I am definitely somebody that will take an idea and run with it. If I can see there is a benefit to what we do internally, and particularly if it's going to be something that is utilised and rolled out directly by my team, it's whether those guys, I can see it's going to be a benefit for them and make their life easier, or have a greater impact from them. Absolutely, I'm more interested. I would be interested in hearing new ideas, new innovations, and be willing to champion those moving forward.
I think as well, it's key whether that idea is presented to you by one of your team, or whether that idea is presented to you by an external source. They don't always come through. But I think it's always good to have that. I mean, we are key, certainly again in my day job at Evolve, when we're working with candidates and clients. Feedback is so key. Feedback is absolutely crucial. As a candidate, if you're not going to be successful, certainly getting that job, if you're latter stages, we would always ask for feedback. And I think that's also important as well. So if you present an innovative solution, or what you believe to be an innovative idea, and it's rejected, it's important to, I think, for that person to come back and say, look, this is why we're not going to run with this, because of this. So there might be aspects of that idea that work, but actually right now, for whatever reason, we're not going to run with it. So It's the same in the whole recruitment side of it as well. The last bit I would say we maybe kind of talk about. So we've talked about innovative solutions within our companies and people presenting to them. The end user and the people that obviously you are focused on, which is your customers and the NHS. How open do you think that doctors and nurses, clinicians, people that effectively are going to be using your products, how open do you think they are to innovative ideas of either communicating or innovative ideas of using your products? Do you think they are, that they're more open to that now, or do you think they're still no? I'm quite set in my ways in terms of how we communicate with you or how you present this to us?
Yeah, I mean, I think we alluded to me being busy. I know you're extremely busy. Everybody is busy at work, isn't it? It's extremely busy, but certainly from an NHS perspective, given the current situation, the pandemic and the challenges that
absolutely, yeah.
There's probably nobody else that is busier in the country at the moment than the guys that work in the NHS at all different levels. So I think there absolutely is a desire and a need for us to be much more specific, much more bespoke, to make sure that when we do have time as an industry with key customers within the NHS, that we are really clear and very effective and very impactful. And through that, I think there is an appetite for us to interact with them, but on a basis that is really clear. We have a really clear objective, but that comes from having a really open discussion at the outset. So we talked about earlier about when we initiated the project for recruitment, and you guys were really clear around what my needs were. We had an in-depth discussion. I think that's really important from an interaction with anybody in the NHS.
The whole kind of needs analysis part, isn't it? Yeah,
we need to be really clear as we're spending some time with you. What is it that you want to get from this time that we spend together, and then make sure that we are capable of presenting through whichever channel that is, be it an omni-channel approach, virtual, in person, and we provide the right level of material. I think that it's maybe not innovative, but it's maybe a real challenge to us in order to make sure that we maximize the time we have with these customers who are really pressurized in terms of the time that they have.
Have you ever found some of the innovative over the years, maybe I put you in the spot here a little bit, but some of the innovative ideas have actually come from the NHS? So they've actually come from customers, so you're talking to a customer about something particular, and all of a sudden a customer says, "Have you thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing that?" Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of things. One that is very recent in terms of an interaction I've had with a customer who it's maybe not that innovative, but the suggestion was around the materials that are provided and that they require materials more electronically rather than hard copy materials that they want, because that would help them. So it's a real need for them. So we need to make sure that we have that capability of delivering that. And again, one that was really clear to me when I started in working particularly within paediatrics was one customer had suggested to me that actually a lot of our patient information was aimed at the parents of the children.
Okay.
So we should maybe think about delivering materials that is age relevant.
Yeah.
So again, great idea. It's something that we weren't providing at that point, but now we have bespoke booklets that we're able to hand out, and children can read them themselves if they're going on to the treatments and around the condition that they're suffering with as well. So, it's a great idea. It's just one that, because you're close to it, sometimes you just don't think about it.
You don't think about it, yeah. And when you think about it, it's actually quite a simple idea in many ways. And
absolutely.
I think that's when you start to see, pharma and the NHS working really, really well together. Coming up with innovative ideas, and we've seen that fairly recently with, for example, the vaccine rollout, where you and I, because we're part of pharma and different parts of the industry, we could recognize and we could see, and we knew what these companies were going to do in terms of develop the vaccine, etc., very impressed by the speed at which they did that. But obviously, to the wider public who are not part of this industry, all of a sudden the penny's dropping in terms of, all right, that's how pharma works with the NHS. Because to you and I, it's, yeah, well, that's exactly how it works. But to a lot of people, they don't really know that. They didn't know that the shot that they're getting into their arm is produced by one of these companies that are familiar to you and I on a daily basis, but are brand new to Joe Blogs and everybody else who's part of something different. And I was I suppose in a way quite proud of, becoming part of an industry that you go, yeah, absolutely, we do add a huge amount of value, because we can be at the other end of getting a bit of a slating sometimes, and sometimes rightly so. But if it wasn't for these brilliant minds in our industry, the vaccines maybe wouldn't be there certainly as quickly. So
I totally agree. I think that's probably the perfect example of one of the biggest sets of innovation in recent times, certainly within our industry, which is that not only have we taken something that has gone from zero to a vaccine within a very short period of time, but there is also the rollout and logistical innovation around that as well, to make sure that not only is the number of doses manufactured, but that they are distributed to the people that are delivering them, and then we are covering as much of the population we can. So it's been an incredible demonstration of innovation, I think, over the last couple of years between NHS and pharma industry.
Yeah, innovation and partnership, and and just where the two really kind of come together and work together, and just it's as somebody said that I was speaking to in one of the other podcasts for this, is part of the reason that probably happened is because so many of the regulations were just kind of shut down, and they're not shut down but kind of removed. Just get rid of that, because we need to move, we need to get things moving again, and that's obviously why that worked, and why that certainly helped. So so I would say that the kind of final part in this, just to kind of wrap things up, you and I talked about this before we come on to the podcast, is you kind of hinted that the best ideas are the ones that are tailored to that particular need. Because it's very easy to go in with a suite of ideas. I've got this, 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 I've got this. How important, for your sales guys and your commercial team, your marketing guys, when they come up with innovative ideas and innovative solutions, is it for them to be tailoring it to that particular customer or that particular end user?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely essential, because the end user has got to be able to visualize themselves using the idea or the piece of software, wherever it is that we're offered. So it's got to be something that the person on the receiving end of the proposition can look at it and go, absolutely, I can see that this is going to enhance my day job. It's going to make things easier. It's going to make it more impactful for me. It's going to allow me to analyze my data much more easily. So I think it's absolutely essential that those ideas are bespoke. Otherwise, it starts to get lost in the whole myriad of other work that we do. So it then becomes something that is a tool that sits there for us to potentially go, if I remember, then I will use it. Whereas it needs to be something that is, this is so good that I'm going to absolutely implement it from day one and every day moving forward from that. So absolutely paramount.
And one idea might work for one customer in the morning, but that might be something completely different for that customer in the afternoon. Because the customer in the morning might like the innovative idea of presenting to them digitally. That's fine, but the customer in the afternoon likes that, eyeball to eyeball, sitting in front of a coffee kind of discussion. And I think that's why now, certainly key account managers or people who are out on the road or people who are representing, your company, whether it's Sobe or whatever, you need to be as adaptable as you possibly can. Gone are the days now of just turning up, showing the detail aid, going through the detail aid, and that's gone, because every customer has different needs now, and our industry and individually we need to be as adaptable as possible. So
I think that's one of the key bits of innovation that will evolve over it has been and will continue to evolve. It is like you say, how you integrate those different levels of or different channels of communicating with our customers from a pharma point of view.
I just don't know how. I don't know how more advanced it can actually get. It's not completely relatable, but I think I was chatting to somebody the other day out in the street. We're just chatting about tellies. Okay, it's not necessarily innovation, but you think how more advanced can technology actually get?
Yeah.
In terms of what it can offer, and I think you're right that we've seen incredible advancements in how we communicate with our customers over the past 2 or 3 years, and all good. And if it's enhanced and it can work really well, but you think, well, what's next? What's that? How can that be improved even more? And it can, but I don't have the mind to do that.
Yeah, well, like I say, it's previously. It's beyond me at the moment in terms of my ideas of innovation. But there is, I think it's important that we are able to effectively implement the options that we've got at the moment. There's so many different options available to us as a pharma industry to interact with our customers that we need to make sure that we are. It goes back to that original bit, making sure it's bespoke to the needs of the individual.
Yeah,
and it's the same in any industry. But from our point of view, we may well be interacting with one customer in a certain department that prefers a face-to-face meeting, like you say. But the person that sits in the office next door may actually say, well, no, I find virtual interactions much more beneficial. So that's the only way I'm going to do it. So the kind of combination of integration of the different ways, that in itself is going to be a key innovation as to how people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. Before you know it, I'll see you on TikTok and all these social media platforms doing all these daft things, trying to communicate.
Yeah, I've got a big step to make on that because I'm not a particularly big virtual Facebook, TikTok, none of that kind of thing. So
no.
My Wi-Fi, yes, but me, no.
I think to farmers get a long way to go before that maybe is integrated as a major tool for innovation or how we work. But that's what the youngsters are doing, and I still regard myself as young, as I'm sure you do as well. So, but who knows? Listen, it's been really good.
I totally agree. I think in terms of people growing up now, and that is the way that they look at everything. They take all the news information comes from the phone, TikTok, etc. So,
so
it is going to be a key hurdle for us to overcome in terms of how we can communicate that way.
It does. There was I can't remember where the stat was. One of the BBC News programs, and it's saying that how youngsters receive their information or how they take their information, and the top two were TikTok, and I think it was either TikTok and Twitter, or if it wasn't one of these social. It wasn't the news. It wasn't sitting down at 6 o'clock, while we were having your dinner. It wasn't that, and because it's just a constant stream of news coming out all the time, and that dependency, if you want to call it, urgency or on getting information now, is it's just incredible how it's changed over the past few years. So maybe if you and I are doing another podcast in 4 years' time, it'll be a different conversation, different way in which we're communicating. But Chris, listen, thank you so much for giving me some of your time today. I really appreciate it. That's been good of you to do that. We've discussed, a few experiences of innovation, where it's worked, where it's maybe not worked so well. And I think it's the overriding thing that I'm getting from a lot of people is that we need to, as you say, a good way of putting it is continue to have that space for ideas and for innovation to be shared. And for that honest conversation about, no, that won't work, and yes, that will work. And empowering people, to go ahead and try these things out. So hopefully, and I'm sure people watching this and listening to it have got something from it. I do hope they have. So thank you for your time. Good to see you again, and really, really appreciate you coming on today, Chris.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks. It was good to see you as well. Thanks for inviting me along, Colin. I've really enjoyed it.
You're very welcome. Okay, take care. Bye for now.
Okay, bye-bye.
Cheers.